You know, a lot are thinking, God, I just got to get into that pot business, the cannabis business. Now, unfortunately, of course, some of those are people who never really smoked pot much before. They're just looking at it for money. And then thinking all the ways of usual corporate criminality to just get it to you cheap, get it to you fast, and make the profit. And that's what you have to interfere with. All of you people who have worked for years in the underground in all sorts of capacities, and you who are just underground smokers of pot through all these years. You know, one thing now when it gets to legalization is don't let it run away from you. For once, step in there with a business attitude, because it's still going to be business, that still addresses quality, organic, natural product. Because you're ingesting this product, right? So you want clean, naturally grown, organic, quality pot. And instead of giving it all over to big warehouse-sized facilities of corporation money stepping in and just say, pump it in there, we got the cash, we can, and they can, that you put into legislation of legalization all of you small-time growers throughout the country to get priority or access to the market in place of corporate big money. Because that's how you're really going to spread out the economic development throughout the state. Because it's going to be, you're just taking it off the federal level of restriction, and then you're giving it over, and it becomes a state issue, and the states and all that stuff, just like alcohol did. And so you got to say, in the state, how are you going to do it? How are you going to set it up? Well, you want to give priority to you, so that the economic development can really spread amongst a whole crowd of small, independent, or, talking to each other. Sure, you become growers of Nebraska, the growers of Illinois, the growers of South Dakota, and whatnot, as well. But by being so, you have priority in all the licensing and all the land and all the services. You get it. And that you hold off corporate entity power, money, which is, now, let's be realistic. That's how you should do it, right? Now, we know from past example how difficult that is in almost every field. Because everybody falls over backwards with the instant money that can be offered by big corporation entities coming in any business. That's why you have to be the legislature. You have to be the candidate who runs for office, holds to the agenda of all the people first kind of business attitude throughout the whole country, as well as clean air, clean water, healthy natural food. Okay, health care for all. Yep, you can do it, sure. And when it comes to cannabis, complete legalization, and in there is the giving priority to all sorts of local growers, small scale local growers first throughout the state, and you'll see really broad-based economic development. And when you give it to just corporate entities, you see what's happening. Look at the other industries. There's this big warehouse will sit there, and they'll employ 5 people, and that'll be it. And then they'll have another 10 people maybe. But they got all this money and all the, the old school legislators that you got elected. They're all the old dumb guys who are stuck, and mostly men, who are stuck in that greed mentality. All they care, think about money, the money, huh? The money, huh? How can we get our hand, Well, at this point, make this an industry development that is distinctive. That starts right at the beginning saying, people first. A people attitude. Giving the people in a broad spectrum the chance to really get involved in the economic boom that cannabis legalization is. That it is. Because you want more of that throughout your state. Because it isn't just the growers. Oh, no. It's all the distribution, the storefronts, the materials related to it in all sorts of ways. Electricians, plumbers, building contractors as well. It goes into hotels, motels. It goes into restaurants. It starts to expand throughout the state. We see that has happened. We have seen it in Colorado, Washington State. As our examples in other states who have legalized, you see what the economic broad-based boom that cannabis can be. And the benefit is to first address you. You who have been all these years in the underground. You who have all been hiding your bongs up in the cabinet or off in some way, Never just able to put them out on a shelf in your living room because that's where you usually are or something, right? You're always fearful and always the fear. The background of that whole prohibition. And all that's gone. Let's make it about a real industry about you. But as you can see, as this starts to pick up, the only really way is you have to be that candidate for the legislature that is going to have that agenda. You are going to have to be in there. You can't rely on these old crowd types who have been fumbling along supporting prohibition, and you think they're going to write legislation benefit to you? No, they don't even know anything about you. Don't know anything about the whole activity that really has been going on all these years. You have to be the candidate for the legislature. You have to vote for candidates that have the agenda of making this particular market, a unique and really dynamic market, as broad-based in your state as possible. First, to you, not to big corporate entities. And keep that priority going. And then you'll see it. You'll reap the harvest of a really broad-based economic development. But that's sort of the issue. There is that threat of this corporate money just seeping in. It's all over. Look what happened in Canada and other states and these big entities step in. Oh, boy. And they put millions into the facilities, but they're just going to crank it out, folks. They're just going to crank it out like any other product in a corporate entity. Fast and cheap. That ain't good for. Let's not do that. You spent years developing some really unique and quality and distinction here. Well, let's keep that as it should be. And you have to do that by how you do it in the legislature. To free it up and make the laws. You have to write the laws. You have to be that legislature person who is writing that laws. You have to vote for people who clearly state the agenda of cannabis legalization being broad-based, with you first. so that we really can have this boom that can happen at a very local level, dramatic local level, and make it the fun, dynamic thing that it should be. Now that's what you're seeing from the choices that we're seeing unfolding from the Colorado experience and now other states as they've legalized. So you're moving ahead. Make sure that the legislature is you. Make sure that the agenda of that legislature is you. Even in particular about the cannabis legalization issue. Make it yes, like it always is. You kind of extend aspects of quality, organic, natural, that have been growing in the black market culture for years. This multi-entrepreneur and all the diverse avenues of distribution and whatnot. You did it. And you the consumer, was buying this stuff for years. And can bring it out on your shelf. Can get just what you want. Instead of just, well, it's what was available in the black market, and not even really knowing what it was. What it is. What is it? Well, it's what's available. You know, all those things of the black market, gone. And finally, you take a big sigh of relief, and you open up everything to benefit you. Make it legal, sure, but make sure it's legal to benefit you and all the history and all the people who have worked so hard, actually, and put a lot of their life on the line for pursuing it, too. And then as a national thing, through the cannabis issue, you could be going just like you should. You first. We the people. You first. Not corporations, not banks. What you want. And it's there, like it always has been throughout history. It really should always have been just that, about you.